Hey, look at that. We're starting at a decent hour and on the right day for once. Turns out I didn't have to work on Saturday after all. Yay! Uh, I do have to go out a little bit later. I have to go to the store, and I also want to get my DVD of Sausage Party. So let's just get to it. Before we begin, as usual, spoiler warning is in effect. Please do not post the show results, like the taping results, for future impacts in the comment section / chat room. A lot of people do read spoilers, but not everybody likes to be spoiled. Not everybody likes to read that stuff. So, as a courtesy, please respect the people who don't like to be spoiled and don't post the taping results in the chat room. And, yeah. That's it. So, let's get moving. Impact Wrestling from November the 10th. So this week, they're starting a tournament to crown the next contender for the world title. That's what most of the matches were about. That's what a lot of the show is focused on. And we start by setting up one of those matches as well as the main event. We got Eddie Edwards cutting a promo, and he gets interrupted by Eli Drake. And I like that Eli Drake is getting more proactive and in your face. He's not doing the cowardly heel thing so much now. Maybe there's a little bit of that still, but it looks like they're definitely trying to make him more formidable, and that's great. That's what I wanted to see. So Eli Drake gets interrupted by EC3, who then gets interrupted by Mike Bennett, and the heels beat down the faces until Moose clears the ring, which gives way to Mike Bennett versus Moose in the first tournament match. It's a perfectly fine segment, albeit one that sticks to a formula that we've seen a million times. I think the only problem was that once the other people started showing up, Eddie Edwards just kind of faded into the background here. He kind of gets swallowed up by these bigger personalities, and there were a lot of people interjecting themselves, but you want the world champion to have more of a presence than that. So, hopefully that's something they can work on. Because Eddie did kind of become an unintentional background player in this segment here. So after the commercials, they start with Mike Bennett versus Moose, and I guess this is the first tournament match. It really struck me how this just kind of started without any real fanfare to it. I didn't even know this was going to be a match this week, and then just boom, here it is. That's a Bound for Glory rematch between two of your bigger stars, and I'd want that to get some hype before they do it. Great match though. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I also liked the way it was booked. With Maria trying to help Mike, but she gets thrown out, and then Mike works a smart match and he gets the win on his own. It's just a count out, but it still matters. For a while there, Mike Bennett was taking a lot of big losses, and I was a little concerned that they were hurting him too much or whatever. Or he was like falling down the card a little bit too much, and this was a really good win that he needed. That this guy is supposed to be a threat, so let's rebuild him as a threat, and he should be able to do it without Maria, since she doesn't look like she's sticking around much longer, unfortunately. So after this, oh yay, Al Snow is back, and the Tribunal turn on him, and then Mahabali Shera, of all people, tries to make the save for him, because that makes sense to the writers somehow. And this was a thing that happened. Ugh. So after this, there's another tournament match with EC3 versus Abyss, who looks like he's been hitting the treadmill a little bit. Good for him. The match is fine for the most part. Of course, EC3 gets the win, but I didn't like the finish of this so much. The submission win was fine. But I think Abyss should have passed out rather than tapped out. You know, the Decay have not been featured a whole lot since Bound for Glory, and they haven't won a single match since then. You know, I want to see them. I want to see more of an effort to protect them. This made EC3 look strong, but I don't think a character like Abyss should be tapping out. You know, why wasn't Crazy Steve out there with him? I don't know. Now, throughout the night, they kept cutting back to the Hardy compound again, where Jeff and Rebby are dealing with Matt's broken brain. And there's a bunch of these segments where Matt can't remember things, and he's dressing like Mr. Rogers, and Jeff tries to put him in the Lake of Reincarnation, but Matt's not having it because he thinks it's nuts. And these are all funny. They're entertaining, but they don't really resolve anything. At the end, Matt still has amnesia. No real progress is made there. Jeff's going off to the Impact Zone by himself, so I guess that's going to be a thing for a little bit. It seems like this was just done to get the Hardys on the show, and that's, I don't have a problem with that. You don't want to keep them off the show since they're the hottest thing you've got right now, but this did feel a little bit like filler since it didn't really advance anything. Also, I found it strange that Brother Nero and Broken Rebby were suddenly acting perfectly normal again. You know, they kind of dropped that persona, I guess, because Matt didn't remember it. I guess they were just kind of playing along with him. Maybe. It just felt weird to see them suddenly acting normal again. It was a little bit jarring. But then, what starts out as yet another Gail Kim love fest turns into something that had me jumping out of my seat and cheering. Gail Kim comes out to make some kind of big announcement. You know, she's talking about her career, and there's the tease that this might be the retirement speech. And she brings out Jade and tells everyone that Jade is the future of this division and the future of women's wrestling, and that Jade is really, really important. To which I call bullshit, because if TNA really believed that, they wouldn't have treated Jade like a second-class citizen during her Knockouts title reign earlier this year. Don't get me started on that. But at least it looks like they're trying to build Jade up here. And I'll be damned, for the first time in quite a while, probably since the Taryn Terrell feud, Gail Jane Cena Kim seems to be making a genuine attempt to help one of the other girls look important and get over. Now, granted, it doesn't involve her jobbing to Jade and putting her over that way, because of course it doesn't. But this is still as selfless as Gail has acted in a long time. So naturally, we have to interrupt her before she can finish doing it. But this was the fucking coolest part. Okay, the Decay come out. It's not a cheap shot. It's not a sneak attack. Rosemary just calmly walks into the ring, looks Gail right in the face, gives her the poison mist in the eye, hits her finisher on Jade, takes out both of them by herself like a fucking boss, then hits the Van Terminator on Jade, leaves them both lying. Stephen Abyss held Jade in place so she could kick the trash can into her, but whatever. She basically did this all on her own. Even choked Gail out and made her tap. Not in an actual match or anything, but again, it's Gail. We have to take what we can get. In like 3 minutes, Rosemary established herself as the biggest threat in the knockout division. This was amazing. This was fucking awesome. It was exactly what I've been waiting for since the Rosemary character took off. Her joining the knockout division and just cutting a swath right through it. And it was glorious. Glorious! Now she's gonna have to deal with the Jane Cena monster after this, and we know Gail's not a big fan of jobbing to people. And even when she does, she's so protected that the win for the other person doesn't really mean anything. But goddammit, they have to know what they have with Rosemary by now, right? They have to. TNA, for the love of God, don't screw this up. Rosemary's a special talent, so if you're going to do this, you need to get it right. Don't fuck it up. So that was great. And then there's another tournament match with DJZ, Trevor Lee, and Rockstar Spud. Nice to see the X Division guys in the tournament. Nice to see them taking a break from the Team X Gold thing, which I still don't understand for the life of me. It's a really fun match. DJZ had some great moves here, even though it looked like he fucked up his leg on that guardrail when he dove over the ropes. I mean, dude damn near broke his leg on that thing. They seriously need to push the crowd barrier back a few feet. I've wanted them to create more space around ringside for years, precisely so stuff like that doesn't happen. I'm cool with Trevor Lee winning. I do wish they would give Andrew Everett a chance to do something, though. He's really just going to waste right now. I mean, they haven't done anything with him, really, which kind of sucks. And no complaints about the match, though. Excuse me. And after this was a really strange segment. There's another tournament match. It's a handicap match wherein Aiden O'Shea, acting on Billy Corgan's orders, I'm assuming, puts Robbie E. and Grado together as a team. And then puts them in a match against Lashley. And then they get more offense than they should have by any rights before the inevitable happens. So there was actually a period in this match where Bobby Lashley was on the defense from these two guys before he destroys them. Someone was getting trolled here, and I'm honestly not sure who. Me, Robbie and Grado, or Lashley. Now, I liked seeing Robbie and Grado get their asses kicked again, but this being the second time in as many weeks that the writers have put these two together has me very uneasy. And also nauseous. And I'm very concerned that it took Lashley as long as he did to destroy them. Starts out really promisingly. He's holding up Robbie with one arm and completely no-selling the Grado offense, just kind of shoves him away. That was funny, but then their offense starts to work a little bit. Like, what the fuck is going on? And then he beats them. It's like, okay, why did it take him so long to beat them? God only knows what their plan is for this. Oh, my God. Backstage, Jesse Goddard, who, to his credit, seems to have escaped that Robbie E. trap, beats up Aaron Rex until Rex jumps back in his car and peels rubber out of there. Isn't it so much nicer seeing Jesse do stuff like this rather than the bromance crap? I mean, that's progress right there. And Rex had some funny lines about the title belt, too, before he got to the studio. It's just missing one thing. My reflection! Haha, perfect! Now we are one! He really is better as a heel, isn't he? Although, as for the feud with Jesse continuing, alright, I'm not sure what else they can do with it. Because they've had a couple matches now, and I don't really know if they're bringing anything new to it. I'm not sure what else the Grand Championship format will allow, so I'm not sure where the feud can go from here. But, okay, whatever. I'd rather see Jesse doing something like this than being in the bromance again. And finally, we move on to our main event with Eli Drake cashing in his Bound for Gold title shot on Eddie Edwards. I liked the match. I think they made Eli Drake look good. He didn't resort to the chicken shit stuff. He looked competitive. He didn't win, but he looked good in defeat. And I think that in itself is a victory. The issue I had was that this wasn't really about Eli Drake cashing in because he wanted to. It was Eli Drake cashing in to spite EC3 as part of a feud that isn't about the world title. And then as soon as it was over, they moved on to something else. So he was kind of forgotten very quickly there. I liked the segment overall, but when Eli Drake cashed in, I wanted it to be a bigger deal, and I wanted it to be more about him than it ended up being. So Eddie wins, and then the DCC jump the ring and attack him. So Eddie goes down, the DCC unmask, and it's Eddie Kingston, Bram, and the apparent leader, James Storm. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Is this what it looks like? Is it what I hope it is? Is this finally James fucking Storm finally going after the world title to finally get that real world championship run that he's deserved for years? If so, then I say yes! 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 And also, hashtag Storm for champ. Fucking awesome. As for the other two, I'm glad to see Bram back. Glad to see him back as a heel since him as a face wasn't really clicking. And it didn't seem like they were invested in him as a face either. And glad to see him back in a prominent role. Eddie Kingston, I'm kind of ambivalent about that. I never really paid much attention to the guy. He wasn't a talent that I felt like TNA needed, but he's a good talker. He can cut a great promo. So who knows? If Eddie and Bram are going to be a tag team or enforcers for James Storm, that could work. We'll see. And if Eddie Kingston is going to help James Storm become world champion, that'll make me like him real quick. Taking out the world champion here, that makes the DCC look really dangerous, which is something they needed to help them get over for this feud with the Hardys. So nicely done with that. You know what? Really good impact this week. Most of the matches were solid. With some stuff I wasn't so crazy about, but what really got me excited was Rosemary taking out Gail and Jade and the James Storm reveal. Two things that I've been waiting to see for a long time. So count me in for that stuff. So I like this one a lot. I thought it was an improvement over the last few impacts that were kind of middle of the road. And I'm looking forward to next week. So this was a good one. Okay. Let's see. For some reason, this week's Impact seemed different. Can't really explain it, but it seemed different from recent Impacts, probably because they didn't showcase the Hardys for too long. Yeah, that might have been it. The Hardys tend to get a lot of screen time. They were scaled back a little bit here. Plus, they were focusing on some different people. The Decay seem to be coming back as a force now, which is nice. Yeah, that's probably part of it. Looks like Billy Corgan versus TNA Anthem drama is over, and Billy signed some settlement with Anthem so they don't go to court again. Glad this happened. Is for the best for both parties at this point. I don't know. I think it would be best for both parties if Billy stuck around. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case, which is that really sucks, because I thought Billy had done a lot of good for this company and could continue to do a lot of good for this company if he was still involved in some capacity. So Billy being gone, that doesn't mean anything good. That's bad news, because now Dixie is back in control. Not that she was ever really out of control, but now she's back as the one person in charge. And maybe she's answering to Anthem now, but she's still running the place, which is just awful. Do you think TNA is pushing Eddie Edwards as their Rey Mysterio? Not really. I think they just see him as another guy who can kind of transcend the X Division, like AJ and Joe and Aries and those guys. I don't disagree with that. Plus, if Davey is saying that he wants to retire next year, I'm assuming Eddie's going to stick around, so maybe they want to invest more in Eddie and prepare him for the post Wolves part of his career. And they see they think they can get some mileage out of him. I think it's as simple as that, really. Yeah, finally, Rosemary and Jade were on TV. Yeah, Jade's been off TV. Jade hasn't been doing much for a while. It's another reason why I didn't really buy. I thought Gail was being kind of insincere when she was talking up Jade so much. It's good that she said those things, but I don't know how much Jade or TNA believe them. Because if they believe that, then why has Jade been taking such a back seat for a while now? And why did they treat her title reign like a throwaway? You know? They're saying this, but their actions don't support it. Really. Gail was the one who rushed Rosemary. I don't know what she thought was going to happen there. Hey, Gail acted stupid for a change. I'm not complaining. How often do we see someone honestly get the better of her like this? Did it make sense? Pfft, I don't know, you be the judge, but I'll take it. Alright? Rosemary looked like a fucking boss against Gail Kim. I'll take it. Let's see. Bram, Storm, and Kingston. That's a damn good group. Yeah, okay. I'm a huge proponent of James Storm. I always have been. I think Bram is a really underutilized guy. Tons of potential there if he can keep himself out of trouble. Kingston, like I said, I don't have a lot of strong feelings about Eddie Kingston. I'm open to be. I'd love for him to prove me wrong. But I can take or leave the guy personally. But I suspect he'd be good as an enforcer type. And like I said, he can cut a great promo. So he's got stuff that he can bring to the table. Let's see. Main Event Mafia were TNA's best faction. Oh, dude, I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that. They won every title, took over the company. They were booked strongly, but the storyline sucked for the most part. It was very damaging to the younger talent, and in large part, the younger talent never really got their heat back. Yeah, not a big fan of that storyline. Sorry. Rosemary with the coast to coast was sick. Glad she's using that move more. Yeah, it's really impressive. Yeah. What would you say is TNA's best faction? Wow, you are asking the wrong guy, because for the large part, I am sick of factions in general. Main Event Mafia, I hated. Fortune were awesome. BDC were just completely maligned by a lot of outside factors working against them. Immortal were awful. The Rising were barely a blip on the radar. They just kind of fell apart pretty quickly. Aces and Eights were god-awful. So I'm going to say Fortune, because that was the only one I actually liked. What happened to the knockout division and what happened to Brooke? Brooke left, citing reasons that were rumored to be political in nature, and now she's a new mom. So I don't think we'll be seeing her anytime soon. What happened to the knockout division? The knockout division became the Gail Kim division. Because for most of this year, she seemed like the only one they were concerned about was her feud with Maria, and everyone else was taking a back seat. And as a result, the very few people in the division feel like they matter now, because so much focus has been on just on glorifying Gail and keeping Maria in a big spot. Kudos to Maria. She's done great work. She's helped get other people over. Allie is as over as she is in large part thanks to Maria. So that's been productive. But I think the whole Gail Maria feud ended up being kind of pointless. It just ended up glorifying Gail and not much else. That was the only result. It's like, well, is Gail a person who really needed to be glorified at this point? No. Like, the only girls in this division that really mean a whole lot right now, not named Gail, not named Maria, are Rosemary, because of the work that she's done with the Decay. Really became a breakout character. Really made herself stand out from the pack thanks to her promos and her character work with the Decay. So now her entering the Knockout division feels like a big deal. And also Allie, as a byproduct of the Gail Maria thing, she got a little attention from creative. She made the most of it, and now she's over as hell. So outside of Gail Kim and Maria in the Knockout division, really the only ones who matter are Rosemary and Allie. Maybe Laurel Van Ness a little bit, just because she's new and she's got some kind of storyline support with the Allie thing. But Jade's been taking a backseat for a long time. They kind of have to rebuild her a little bit now. And same deal with Sienna. She came in and looked good, and then Gail kind of buried her a little bit, and they haven't really been doing much with her either. So it's really, outside of Gail and Maria, it's Rosemary and Allie, and everyone else needs some attention from creative already. What's the best time for Matt to drop the Broken Hardy gimmick? It depends how long it takes before the novelty wears off. I don't think we're there yet. I think they keep adding new twists and turns to it to keep it fresh. The amnesia thing was something I didn't see coming. I think there's mileage in it to go for a while still. I mean, as long as we're hearing a delete chants on Raw, don't stop it now. It doesn't look like they're in any danger of it getting stale yet. So I think they got a ways to go with it still. Again, you don't overdo it, yeah. But like I said, we're not there yet. Rosemary destroying Gail and Jade basically by herself was great. Absolutely. Let's see. Ronda Rousey may be retiring from the UFC soon. I wonder if she heads to WWE after. My guess is she goes off to make movies, because she's been in a couple already, and she'll make more money doing that than she would working for WWE, and she wouldn't have to get beat up for a living anymore. So that's probably an attractive offer. How do you feel about JB being the head of creative? Yeah. So this is news. Apparently, Dave Lagana's gone. He moved on. And JB has been promoted to head of creative. I don't know if Gaburik is still overseeing everything, but JB, he's in there now. I think it's a good choice. I don't know what JB is like in a creative capacity, but the guy always excels in whatever he does. They gave him the spin cycle, and he made that work. They gave him, he was heavily involved in British Boot Camp, and that show was awesome, both seasons. So he's been their go-to guy forever. So I'm willing to give him. I'm happy to give him a shot in creative. And one thing I like about this is that JB, he's not a selfish guy. He's not somebody who keeps agendas, which means that I don't think he's someone who will bury somebody just because they were pushed by Billy Corgan. just to spite Billy. No, he's not. JB is not like that. So I'm not. If he's in charge, I'm not worried about the Decay getting buried. I'm not worried about Rosemary getting buried. They expect we're probably going to see a shakeup. We may see some different people get focused on, but for the most part, I think they can continue on, as they've been doing, without a lot of huge changes because he knows the direction they were going in, and I don't think he's going to want to push any agendas of his own. I think he's there to do what's right for the company. Let's see. Eli Drake did really good in the main event. He should stay in the main events from now on. Agreed. I'm guessing that the feud with EC3 is intended to push him in that direction. Thoughts on the X-Men franchise rumored to get a soft reboot? I talked about that on Thursday. Just go to the Comic Show post show. It's been uploaded. It's been there for a couple days. Just go to the last one there and watch that. I talked about that for a little bit. Why is Raquel not on TV? My guess is because A, they don't have anything for her, and B, they don't trust her to do anything without screwing up. This is a person that they signed when the sum of her wrestling experience was being on a wrestling-related reality show. That's it. She didn't even start training to be a wrestler until after they signed her. So I wouldn't trust her to wrestle on TV. I've heard that she's getting better, which, okay, good. I've seen just enough of her to think that she may have that she'll have some athletic potential, but promo-wise, character-wise, she's proven herself to be pretty bad, if not downright awful. So I wouldn't trust her to do very much on TV. And, the thing with her and the bromance completely tanked, and the bromance don't even seem to be a thing anymore. So I think they just don't have anything for her right now. And I'm not complaining about that because I really have no desire to see her on TV. Why is Shera helping Al Snow? Oh, man, I have no fucking clue. That made no sense to me at all. I mean, Shera hates all three of these guys. Why is he... if I'm Shera, I'm sitting backstage watching this, being happy because they're turning on each other. Okay, it's like, fine, let these assholes kill each other, and I'll go do something for me. Why does he care? It makes no sense. I mean, Al Snow fucked him up. What was it? A couple of times, didn't he? Last time they had anything to do with each other, they were feuding. Now Shera's helping him out? It's stupid. Let's see. I don't know why Josh Matthews always acts like an idiot when anybody new shows up. At least Eddie Kingston hasn't appeared on any one-night-only events prior to his Impact debut. By idiot, do you mean that he acts like he doesn't know who the person is? Because, if they've shown up on one-night-only shows that have already aired, then I would agree. But he's probably being instructed to act that way. Because, in terms of continuity with Impact, the one-night-only shows don't really exist. They're, like, in a separate bubble, like, over there somewhere. So what happens on the one-night-only shows really has no bearing at all with what happens on Impact. They have nothing to do with each other. So like I said, he was probably told to act that way. So when someone from the One Night Only shows appears on Impact, it's like, who's that? We've never seen this person before. It's like, yes, you have. Well, it's really stupid, but I don't like it any more than you do. But I'm not watching the One Night Only shows anyway, so it doesn't bother me that much. I think they should book the DCC. Book them strongly as a group of dangerous guys. Storm is a main eventer. Or at least he fucking should be. Bram could be main eventer again, provided he can keep himself out of trouble. There's two. There's a guy with a ton of potential. James Storm has always had potential. He's just never really gotten the opportunity to run with the ball. So I'd like them to be booked really strongly, and as a group of really dangerous people. Will TNA ever change their identity? You mean brand themselves differently? Well, Billy Corgan went on record saying he wanted to do that. I think at this point it was probably a good idea, because the TNA brand has really been dragged through the mud, and the fans don't really trust it or respect it anymore. So changing the brand, it was probably a good call. But now that Dixie's back in charge, I'm sure that won't happen. I think they waited way too long for the Rosemary Gale Jade stuff. It was awesome, but could have been done sooner. Uh, I think it was stupid to not pull the trigger on Rosemary around Halloween time. On the Halloween themed episode of Impact, that was an episode where the Decay didn't even appear, which is completely asinine. If they weren't going to pull the trigger on Rosemary when Suicide Squad was out, because this is the pro wrestling Harley Quinn for all intents and purposes, they should have done it at Halloween. They didn't do that either. They waited, and yeah, it's happening at a time when Jade really doesn't mean anything, because she's been taking a back seat for a while, and of course, all the stuff with Gale that I've been over a million times. But I agree the timing isn't perfect, but again, I'll take it because I'm just thrilled that they're finally doing it. And I'm really happy to see Rosemary finally get a push in the knockout division. They damn well better not screw this up. Really like the X Division match. Problem I got was now this makes Bound for Gold thing at Bound for Glory every year pointless if the winners don't become champ. I disagree. I don't think the people who win and cash in Bound for Gold need to win the title necessarily, as long as them cashing in is treated like a big deal and it has repercussions. Now, unfortunately, that's not really what we got here. What I would like to see is them build it up, treat it like a big deal, and then when the match happens, there's a ripple effect. Like what happens in this match causes other things to occur. Maybe it sets off a chain of events. It doesn't have I don't think the title necessarily has to change hands, as long as what happens matters. You know. Even though that's really not what happened here, I'll still take Bound for Gold over the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, because that's just completely fucking pointless. I lost my place again. And hope this means that Storm becomes world champ. Also hope they clear up how Bram escaped the Decay car trunk from last we saw him on TV. Considering how long they've gone without mentioning that, I wouldn't hold your breath. Are we going to follow up with Bram being kidnapped by Decay, or are we forgetting about that now? My guess is they're forgetting about it. I think that was probably just a way to get Bram off TV for a while until they had something for him. Storm getting cheered even though he's a bad guy was funny. I don't think it mattered if he was a face or a heel. People just cheered because it was James Storm. And it's been a while since he's been on the show. If Rosemary beats Gail for the title, this sets up a bunch of different feuds with either Allie or Jade or possibly Ruby Sky joining the Knockout division to continue their feud. Well, I think in the short term, if she beats Gail for the title, I think Jade would logically be the next feud. That's something I'd like to see. I don't want them to rush into the feud with Allie, though. I wouldn't want to see it now. I want to see it eventually, but not until after the Allie character has been developed into a wrestler, so she can wrestle at her at full cherry bomb capacity, and she's not having to not dumb herself down, but having to not show what she can really do because she's supposed to be playing a character who's a rookie. When she can wrestle at full capacity, that's when they should do the Rosemary versus Allie, because that is the best feud in women's wrestling. Is Courtney Rush and Cherry Bomb on the Independents? It has been for a while. I think they could print money with that feud if they did it right on TV. They shouldn't do it until they can do it right. And right now, they need to develop Allie more as a character. I think what they should do, if Rosemary wins the title, have Rosemary go on an absolute fucking tear. She should hold that title. I'm dead serious when I say this. She should hold it for a fucking year. Or 10, 11 months. Hold it until Bound for Glory. Rosemary should have the title until Bound for Glory, and then do Rosemary versus Allie. After she's been the dominant champion for a year, after Allie has been developed into a wrestler, that would be the time to do it, in my opinion. Because that would blow the roof off the place if they did it right. Ruby Sky joining the Knockout division, I have absolutely no desire to see that. I really don't. Except for, I think that one match that she did with Rosemary, Ruby hasn't wrestled in like 2 years. She has not stayed in ring shape. She's still carrying around some of that extra baby weight. I mean, she still looks good, but she's noticeably heavier than when she was wrestling. And from what little I know about her, which I admit is not much, she wasn't anything special in the ring. The best praise I've heard about her as a wrestler is that she's better than Velvet Sky. Okay, who fucking isn't better than Velvet Sky as a wrestler? If that's the best thing you can say about her, then I'm not really interested in seeing her. And so far, she's been used as a component of the Hardys act, and she's done well with that. But as a knockout, I don't really care. I'd rather see Rosemary feud with people that she can blow the roof off with. I don't think that's Ruby right now. Totally didn't buy anything that Gail said. If she wasn't injured, it'd be the same old Gail over whoever she faces. Yeah, that's probably what she'd be doing. I didn't really buy her saying that either. Honestly, it just felt completely disingenuous based on what we've seen from Gail this year, especially. Now all of a sudden she's completely selfless and wants to tell everybody how awesome Jade is. Really? If she wasn't, if Gail wasn't injured and could still compete right now, did anybody really think she'd be saying that? No, because that's not how she behaved before this, before the injury. She was all about soaking in all the glorification that the TNA threw at her, and just yeah, whatever. Why is next Sunday's Survivor Series a 4-hour show? 4-hour show? This is the first I've heard about that. Good grief. Why is it a 4-hour show? Dude, search me. I have no idea. If the Aces and Eights had actual talent, then it would work, but they had no talent at all, which is why they were bad. Yeah, that was one of the reasons. Also, one of the other reasons is that the story was just really fucking poorly told. It went entirely too long. It was like a fucking 18-month feud, and it took, God, what? It took like, what, 6, 7, 8 months just to get to the damn point. They were teasing stuff with James Storm over the summer that didn't pay off until like 7 months later. It's like, well, all this confusing stuff with James Storm happened, and then they moved on from it. And like, why are you moving on? You haven't resolved this yet. And then what? Like 6, 7 months later, that's like, oh, this is why that happened. See. They thought they were being so clever with that shit, but it was just a really fucking poorly told storyline. That was the worst offender in all that. The second worst is that they did it with some piss poor talent that had no chance of getting over. Garrett Bischoff, Wes Briscoe, fuck those idiots. Oh God, what a fucking waste of 18 months that storyline was. God damn it. Rosemary actually made Gail tap out. Too bad the broadcast team didn't point it out. Yeah. At least it happened, though. But let's see if it happens in an actual match. Then I'll be impressed. Thoughts on Brandy Rose so far? Her character, mic skills, wrestling skills, etc. TBD. Right now, I want to like Brandy, but so far, what little we've seen of her makes me think that they're only pushing her because of her husband. They're pushing her because of who she's married to. They want to keep Cody happy. I think they seem to want Brandy to be a big star, and I think their intention is to try to make her a big deal in the knockout division. But again, from what little I've seen, I don't know if she's ready. She looks great in the ring. Mic skills seem decent, but character skills, I don't know. We've seen her breaking character in the ring. Like smiling when she's getting beaten down or something. Somebody else pointed that out to me. Hey, I understand that she's happy to be there and she's excited to be where she is, but you can't break kayfabe. You got to stay in character. If she's having trouble with that, what else is she going to have trouble with? I don't know. Maybe she's just really green right now. But if she's green, then she shouldn't be getting pushed that much. Maybe give her like the Laurel Van Ness treatment. Start her out slow. You'll feature her, but don't push her too much. But you'll feature her so that she gets experience, and then when she's ready, then give her the big push. I don't want to dislike Brandy. I just think they're getting ahead of themselves with her. Are you going to watch UFC 205 tonight? Is that Rousey Nunez? I'm not sure. Is that the Rousey Nunez fight, or is that later? I don't know. I'll check. If Rousey Nunez is fighting tonight, then I'll watch it. I do hate that since Decay lost the belts to the Hardys at Bound for Glory, that Rosemary has been off TV so many weeks until this week's Impact. Yeah, I don't like that either. Again, one theory is that maybe they were keeping her off TV to protect her from the Decay's recent losses, so she wouldn't be associated with that. So like they kept her off TV so that the next time that she appeared, she would be a force, not having been hurt by those recent losses. So maybe that's it. I hope that was the case. But who really knows? Let's see. This year, Maria has gotten Allie over, whereas Gail has gotten nobody over. Yeah, I would argue that Gail hasn't even gotten herself over. Because this was, let's say the last year and a half to 2 years, her crowd support has notably dwindled. Gail is not as over as she used to be. I think the fans still like and respect her, but it's just they've been pushing her at the top of the division for so fucking long now. It's just, I think people just want to see something else. And, during this segment, Dixie is on Twitter saying, "No, Gail, please don't go." God, I had to respond to her. I'm like, Dixie, for the crying out loud, she has to retire sometime. Someday she is going to leave. And you can't stop that. Do you want this fucking division and this fucking knockout roster to be prepared for that day or not? Because the only way you get them prepared for it is if you start having Gail put over other people and get these other characters over. It's like Dixie just doesn't fucking get it. It's like she's I don't know. Oh, yeah. Don't get me started. Honestly, I think by February, TNA might tone down the Hardys gimmick. If they're not sure they will re-sign next year, which I hope both re-sign. You got a point. I think Matt is more likely to re-sign since he gets pushed in TNA in a way that he probably wouldn't in WWE, and he has a lot of creative control and creative freedom to do what he wants. And he would not have that in WWE. And it seems like that's really important to him at this point. Jeff, Jeff said he's getting pretty close to retirement. He's mentioned wanting to end his career with a Hell in a Cell match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania. So I think he's more likely to leave in the not-too-distant future. So I think maybe at that point, if Jeff leaves, they'd probably tone down the broken thing. Maybe have Matt go in a different direction. But it's probably too soon to tell. Have you been following Brad Jones and Jesus Bro? I know of it. I know that's the cinema snob making a new movie. It's cool. I'll try to check it out when it's finished. I don't know if I don't know what the status of it is right now. I think they're shooting it right now. Okay. JB is a great choice. He knows the roster better than anybody. Yeah, that's why I'm not too worried about that. I think John Gaburek needs to have a lesser role in TNA. Dude, he's needed to have a lesser role for a while. Maybe he's a good production guy, but I don't think he had any business being in creative. Certainly not being head of creative. I heard he's the one who leaks stuff within TNA to dirt sheets. Well, I don't know about that. That's just speculation, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Let's see. They should never have signed Raquel. She brings nothing to the table. I've often wondered why they bothered signing her too, because she's been there for she's been on the roster for the better part of a year now. What has she really done? What have they done with her? Nothing. So why is she there? How would you book a tribunal? Unless they show something, some kind of star quality, something special that they bring to the table. I don't know if I'd book them to do much of anything. I was willing to give them a shot when they showed up. I would say, let's give them a while and see what they've got. But it's been a while now, and I don't know that they've really got anything. They have, if they do, they haven't showed it. They got boring chance during this segment with Al Snow, so not terribly interested in seeing them do anything. Can't wait to see. Can't wait to see Gail come back and defeat Rosemary, said nobody. Yeah. Judging by the lack of Jade and Rosemary for weeks, unless Gail is there and no other woman can be on TV. Oh, that's not true. Maria can be on TV. Rosemary can be on TV with the Decay. In the weeks that Gail is not there, more often than not, Allie gets featured in a way that helps her out. So, yeah, I'm not completely disagreeing with you because you do have a point there. Because when Gail is there, it's all about Gail more often than not. But there are women that get featured when she's not there. Brandy's another one, I guess, because they really seem to want to turn Brandy into something. Gail's speech to Jade was faker than the Tooth Fairy. Yeah, that seems to be the general consensus that Gail, her talking up Jade felt kind of forced. Maybe that's just because Gail is not a terribly good actor. Maybe it's because she was just saying something that the writers wanted her to say and she didn't really believe it. Maybe it's just because of how they've treated Gail and Jade for the last year or so. There's a lot of different factors in there. Either way, I was happy they did it, but it did feel disingenuous on Gail's part. Eddie Alvarez versus Conor McGregor tonight. Ronda versus Nunes is at UFC 207 on December 30th. Huh. Oh, Conor's fighting tonight. Yeah. Well, if I don't go out, I'll probably watch that. Gail comes off as super phony and disingenuous. Yeah. Why is James Storm always getting stuck in a tag team or faction? I'm not sure. Like, this guy could absolutely be a main event and a world champion. For some reason, they don't... they just never seem to go all the way with it. I'm optimistic that I'm hopeful that he might get a shot at the world title now, as the leader of a faction. But who really knows? They're pushing Brandy way too hard. It seems so forced. Allie worked because it took time and it was not forced. Yeah, agreed. Again, they're pushing her because of Cody. They're not pushing her because of who she is. They're pushing her because of who her husband is. And it's just it feels like it's too much too soon to me. Because I don't view her as being really ready for a push like this. But maybe she'll prove me wrong. Who knows? Do you think Eli is a main eventer or still needs to do more? I think he is a future main eventer. Right now, his character hasn't been built up to that point yet. I think he's making progress. I think he's on his way to being a main eventer. And by all rights, he will be in the not-too-distant future. But the character needs to be prepared for that first. He needs to be groomed for it. All right. Last question. Your thoughts to Lacey Von Erich... hang on. Your thoughts on Lacey Von Erich, Brooke Hogan, and indie wrestling legend's daughter, forgot her name, trying to start a company to compete against TNA, and Christy Hemme will be part of the creative team. The way I heard it, Brooke Hogan was trying to start a women's wrestling promotion. I don't know if I think it was a women's wrestling promotion. And that DDP's daughter is in charge of PR, and Lacey Von Erich is in charge of talent. And wow, of all the people who could be in charge of talent, you give that job to fucking Lacey Von Erich? Jesus H. Christ. So there's a big warning sign right there. That's the first big fucking red flag. Christy Hemme in charge of creative? I don't know if Christy Hemme is in creative. Apparently she was on the TNA creative team for a while. And at some point she left and the job was given to Madison Rayne. And I didn't notice any difference at all. So I don't know if she's got any kind of a unique vision. My guess is she got the job because she used to be on the TNA creative team, and not because of anything she was bringing to the table necessarily. Wants to compete with TNA. You know what? Let's see if they can even get the fucking company off the ground. Okay? Let's see if they can get a TV deal. Then we'll talk. Because Jeff Jarrett thought he was going to get a TV deal for Global Force Wrestling. What happened to that? Nothing. Yeah. So, let's see if they can even get to the point where they've got a roster and they can run a show. Even at that point, they'll be no different from any other indie promotion out there, except for the fact that since it's run by Brooke Hogan, they could probably get Hulk to make a few appearances. If you care about that, I don't. Fuck Hulk Hogan. CM Punk UFC career, do you think it's over? Probably. He took the UFC payday because they paid him a lot of money, and he got embarrassed. And anyway, if I'm Dana White, I wouldn't put CM Punk in the octagon again. I'd be concerned for his safety, quite frankly. If Punk wants to keep fighting, okay, kudos for not giving up. Go to a fight on a low-level amateur card. That's what Batista did. He wanted to try MMA. He recognized that he was getting into it really late in the game, so he fought on a low-level amateur card, and he won. He didn't try to fight at the highest level because he was being realistic about it. I feel like that's probably the route that Punk should go. Maybe if he improves and he starts winning some amateur fights, maybe he could get another shot at the UFC if he improves a lot. Who knows? I don't like his chances, but he should start at the bottom and try to work his way up. And I think that's going to do it for today. I want to get over to Best Buy and get my copy of Sausage Party, and then I have to go to the store. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Comic Show Post Show Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 10:15 p.m. Eastern next week. Also, Impact stream should be on Saturday regularly for the next little while at least. So I shouldn't have to work on Saturday for a while now. Now that we're in this part of the year. So yeah. So we shouldn't be delayed to Sundays anymore now, at least for a while. So that's good. That's good. I can keep to a schedule now, hopefully. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Good talking to you. Good talking to you. Good stream. Thanks for all your questions. And I will talk to you on Thursday. So I'll see you then. Peace out.